It's a meeting. He's New York Vinnie, part of the meeting. He's in Seattle.
And he's Michael Knight, and he's the other part of the meeting, and he is in beautiful Los Angeles, California, Pasadena, California, which used to be the end of the road when they invented cars, but then they broke that freeway through over the hill and through the desert.
And now the end of the road is actually, or the beginning of the road when you're on Route 66, is the Santa Monica Pier.
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, in a couple of months, I hope to be standing at that Santa Monica Pier. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later, but
well, I'll buy you a chili dog and or an In-N-Out burger, as the case may be, to begin your...
What's that place that we went to that's not too far from your house in Pasadena, the place with the cool sign?
It's called Big Top Hat, and it's a pastrami place. We'll go
yes,
there.
Okay. That place was that place actually had, if I remember right, and I don't remember right a lot.
We had good pastrami that night.
We had good pastrami and good conversation. That was a.
And you were coming in off the road from spring training, weren't you?
Yes. I was driving across. I had been in Arizona. I'd been in San Diego. Then went out from San Diego to Arizona, then came back through Joshua Tree, and then came to you.
There are no trees in Joshua Tree. There's you can find a cacti now and then, even a saguaro cactus, but don't look for trees if that's your thing.
It's a Joshua bush, I believe, more than a tree, but who might argue?
Well, when you do argue, you end up talking to a guy named Joshua, and he thinks he's got all the answers. He named the town.
Well, I mean, that's it. Like, I mean, you go to places like that, you stop at a place like Boron, and you say to yourself, okay, I've been using Tide for all these many years, but since I want to help keep these people working, where do I find borax? And you find that they neither have, I mean, if you look for borax lately,
even at the dollar store, you can't find it.
You can't find borax, nor the 20 Mule team, which, if you remember, they had those cool commercials where the 20 Mule team would come along and the clothes would turn white, take off again.
Was that just, did you see the mules, or were they in silhouette?
They were in silhouette. I think it was an early
animation,
half animation, half live.
Yeah.
But I, as a little kid, you always, and I'll tell you how marketing works. Well, you know how marketing works. You've done marketing, when we would go to the grocery store with my mom, and I would be sitting in that seat in the shopping cart, and we would pass the borax.
You wanted some.
I would, like I was at the Reese peanut butter cups, man. Get that. It's the mules. That's the
we get the mules. We need that at home.
Right. You don't want that, and little did I know, and I would find out in the future, that there was a whole town and a whole industry of boron where borax was, produced.
Now we have morons, and we send them all over the world, and they say, I'm from California, and people say, well, we're never going there.
You're a moron. Yeah, I don't know how we got to that, Mike. I was just talking with somebody about this last night, as I often do. Maybe the thing is I shouldn't be talking about this with people, but we got to, we were talking about the condition. This is a person who's lived internationally. She worked for the United Nations, so she's gone from different places, and she just says she's shocked at how America has disintegrated over the past 10 years.
And willingly so. We saw the hole and we jumped right in it.
Did nothing to stop it. Did nothing to improve other countries. You see, we go to Africa, and you talk to people there. The one thing they want, the biggest thing they want, is they want to be educated. They want to improve their lot. They're hungry. What can you teach me? What can you teach me to make my life better? Here, it's how do I qualify for a 60-month car loan so I can drive something that I can't afford?
So, and I will purposely get myself wound up in a loan that I can't pay back. Because
Yeah,
I
how
need
do
that.
I
I
get
need that. I
a,
need that.
how do I buy a house that's 5 times bigger than I need with a loan that I know I'm not going to be able to pay back, or the government will bail me out? Well, in these other countries, the government doesn't come and bail you out. There's no
The
mommy,
government, the
mommy
government,
government saying, okay, you had a natural disaster. Well, here's a check for 500,000. Go start up again.
they want to be like China, where the government comes and takes you away.
Yeah, they say, oh, your house is on the shoreline on stilts. It falls down. Well, you better move inland.
What did you think was going to happen? You built your house on the water.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, we're not in the business of fixing people's houses. We're not in that business. Now, again, we're getting off the subject here, but the thing that is so apparent is that we have just come to a point where we believe what we believe. We believe our own reality, not what is reality. And again, I submit that this is a country that's mentally ill.
Oh yes,
and
happy to be it.
And needs something to not cure us, because we can only cure ourselves. But we need instead of being on antidepressants, we need to find the root cause of what's going on and fix it. And I don't know if it's as simple as making kids wear uniforms to school and paying our teachers more and our administrators less, or if it's or if the problem goes much deeper than that.
Well, I think it begins with education, because a college education became something that only the rich can afford now. And when that gradually worked its way through the populace, the people who needed the education the most were most resentful about it. So they didn't want an education. They didn't want to go beyond high school. There was nothing in school that was worthy for them. They weren't interested. And now look at them. They can't be convinced that gravity is an actual fact. They have no idea where they live in the universe. They have no idea about the construction of science. They have no idea about chemistry. They have no idea about history. They have no idea about the capital of their state. They can't find Montpelier, Vermont on a map. They cannot exist on our planet in a fashionable, reasonable, intelligent, educated way. So they live on their own planet. Rachel Maddow calls it Planet A and Planet B. Planet Earth and then the other planet, Planet X, where Donald Trump is the savior, where Donald Trump has been put here by God to save us. Now, what Ivanka Trump was put here by, we don't know what sort of spirit was responsible for that or what she's here for. But I'll bet
disbelieve in God quickly.
She's just about ready to make a deal to testify against her father, so she doesn't have to go to prison. What do you bet?
Oh, she's probably calling up Bernie Madoff's kid right now and saying, "How do I do this?"
You did it. I could have done it. Now I need to do it. They're at the door.
Mobster, Michael Franzese, who testified against his father. I mean, there's a long history of people who have decided that my ass is worth more than yours, Pop.
And you expect me to go down with you? I'm not going down with the ship.
And I'm not going that way. I'm going to save myself.
I can sell perfume. I can sell perfume and sheet holder downers for the rest of my life.
Yes. By the way, did you like the sheet holder downers I sent you?
They were lovely.
We have to find a place for the Mikey and Vinnie logo, but
there's plenty of room. We'll just the people who make the sheet holder downers are going to have to accept a smaller logo so we can have a larger one.
Yeah. I think that. Well, I don't even know why somebody that makes the sheet holder downers even needs a logo on it.
Yeah, you find the sheet holder downer, you buy it or you don't. The logo is not going to make a difference.
Yeah, they just have to put that guy's name on it. That it's on all the stuff. Pat Pending.
Yeah, well, Pat doesn't care. Pat gets a piece of everything.
Pat's on everything. Now you look at something, it always says Pat Pending.
And if you have a sheet holder downer and you don't have a patent on it, what were you doing? What were you doing when you were marketing your sheet holder downer? You weren't thinking about the patent.
Big mistake. You took it to Mark Cuban, and which was your, probably your seminal mistake.
And in his front office, nobody's sheets get held down. Nobody's.
Exactly. So, Mikey, I was very sad this morning.
You woke up.
As a matter of fact, I woke up, as I have my phone, my alarm set on my phone, as I'm sure almost everybody does these days. And, I get the notifications of different things. And the first notification that was on my phone was from CBS News telling me that Meatloaf had passed away.
And what's his actual name? A day?
Marvin Lee Aday, Aday. And the reason that I know this is because I have his actual business card.
Wow.
That he gave me many years ago. Matter of fact, 2001. I have a long, interesting history with Meatloaf. Very, very, several stories worth of history with Mr. Aday. And it's sad, when you hear somebody that passes away, and they're a star, and you have no relationship with them other than your relationship. You feel sad. You feel a little bit of they did some great stuff. I enjoyed their work. I liked what they did. But with Meatloaf, it hit home for a few different reasons. The first of which, I, for many years, I don't know many, but a few years at least, was a bouncer at the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh.
And because of my size and my ability at that time to actually sing, I was called upon every once in a while to be Eddie, who was Meatloaf in the Rocky Horror Picture Show when they acted it out. It happened here in Seattle, actually, many years ago. My brother Freddie and I were traveling. We were here in Seattle, and we would, on a Friday or Saturday night, when we would travel, look for the Rocky Horror Picture Show where it was playing. This was, I don't know, 77, 78, something like that. And we found it was playing up on the Guild 45th. So we went up there just to check it out. And, it's funny because you'd go and you'd tell the ticket person, hey, I work at the one in New York, at the Waverly, or this or that. And they would let you in. Here, they had cops with guns as security guards, which we never thought was a good idea. But they were, off-duty cops, and they were in uniform. And I said, wow, this must be a wild one, because I had never seen that before. And I guess the Eddie didn't show up. And one of the people that was in the cast, which is what they call the people who perform the show in front of the theater, said, we were talking with them, and he said, well, listen, you can you help us out? And so I played their Eddie that night.
You knew the part.
I did the part. I knew the part. I mean, I'd seen the damn thing 100 times, or no, 100, forget it, 1,000 times. Because again, I worked at it. Realistically, at least 400 or 500 times.
And where was the Waverly?
The Waverly was down in the West Village, and then it moved from the Waverly out to the Center Theater in Sunnyside, Queens.
Everything's in Queens
Boulevard.
Yeah.
And so the whole cast from the Waverly came up to the Center, because just a short subway ride away. So there was that. Then years later, here at the All-Star game, when they had the All-Star game here back in 2001, Meat came in for the 2001 Celebrity All-Star softball game that they had on Sunday.
He wasn't Mr. Loaf. He was Meat.
Yeah, he was Meat. If you knew him, he was Meat. Hey, Meat. So I hooked up when we were talking. I had to feel, pass and everything. And I was talking, and we were talking baseball, and he's a huge baseball fan. I mean, really, and he knew his stuff too. I mean, really knew, trivia and everything. He'd been to every ballpark. He had obviously sung the national anthem at ballparks and at the World Series and everything. And so I said, hey, listen, I host this show over at FX McQuarries. I'm going to host the pregame and the postgame for the All-Star game. Would you like to come co-host with me? I don't want to just interview him. I want him to come and sit down and co-host.
Beautiful.
And he said, yeah, I'll be over after the game. Sure enough, I'm over there at FX McQuarries. Probably I get there in 8th inning, And Meat shows up in the ninth. And he's got notes. And he's like, I mean, he's got the, the whole the scorecard and everything. He's ready to go.
Whoa,
He's
a pro.
prepped, man. This wasn't just like a walk-on kind of I'm gonna sit there and be Meatloaf. No, he was Meatloaf, co-host of the Mariners post-game show.
What a great lineup. New York Vinnie and Meatloaf.
And also Mike Brown, who was
and Brownie.
Mike Brown and Brownie. So I mean, and I forget who we had. I think we had Brian Prowitz in the clubhouse, talking to players and stuff like that. Going live with. In those days, you had to do it by cell phone.
Yeah.
And you had questionable, but it was and so Meat sat down for a 2.5 hour post game show, and it was just a fascinating time. He was a great co-host. He knew his stuff. I mean, he knew baseball, but he also knew how to get to the point quickly, which is better than I could do. And it really was one of the, you roll the dice sometimes, Mikey, as you know in this business, and you say, okay, I'll try this. This could turn into a disaster, or it could be a really cool thing. And it turned out to be one of the coolest things I ever did on radio. And I'm looking for the tape of it. I have a picture somewhere that I'm looking for. As I said, I woke up a little late this morning, so I didn't get a chance to go through my pictures. But while we're talking, I'll do it. And when we finished doing the show, he reached his pocket and he handed me his business card. And he said, if you ever need anything, or you're ever in Texas, you want to go to a game, give me a call.
But he lived near Dallas?
Yeah. Yeah. Not too far from Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, somewhere.
So was he a Ranger fan?
No, he was a Yankees fan, which is where we disagreed. Yeah, he was a big time Yankees fan. Also the Indians. As a matter of fact, if you remember, their record label, him and Jim Steinman's record label, was Cleveland International.
I remember well.
And so, a couple of times when I went to Texas, I either traveled with the Mariners or went just on my own. I called them up, and a couple of times we watched the game together.
I remember when I was first working at KTIM in San Rafael, The Bat Out of Hell came out, and Loved by the Dashboard Light. It was quite a scene. It was a whole mini opera.
Yeah,
a monologue.
I'm sure you remember my first wife, Cynthia. We decided that we wanted to spend the rest of our lives together. When one night we were sitting in the car, talking, sitting on 83rd Street in Jackson Heights, and Paradise by the Dashboard Light came on, and we sang the entire duet, every word, and didn't miss a beat.
And you said, this is special.
This is, yeah. I mean, well, let me sleep on it, baby, let me sleep. And the great thing about that record is Phil Rizzuto,
yeah,
who was the play-by-play guy on that record, got a gold record for it.
And away, Phil, go.
And Phil had no freaking idea what he was doing. They paid Phil $50 and he came in the studio and he, did what the lines they put in front of him. And then, left and everything and went back to doing the Yankees play-by-play and, the money store commercials that he used to do. And I guess the record came out and Phil had no idea what the record was about.
Of course, Lucky Phil,
because he probably never would have done it. Record never would have been the same. It would have had Red Barber or Mel Allen on it or something like that.
Herb Score.
Yeah. And when he found out, he was embarrassed. Phil was a good Catholic, and not to mention the fact that Bill White and everybody else, Billy Martin, all those guys probably gave it to him every day about that record.
Oh, here comes Mr. Rock and Roll. Look who's here.
Here's the guy on the Sex record.
Yeah.
and Meatloaf told me one time that they couldn't tell him what it was for. They couldn't because they
Secrecy.
knew that if they told him, he would have never done it.
Right.
So they just gave him the lines, got him into I don't know what was it, Electric Lady Studios in New York. He came in, he banged it out, and for him it was thought he was doing a commercial or something. And I think they might have actually had to pay him more money at some point to so he wouldn't file some kind of bizarre lawsuit. But it was a great, and I just always remember the interviews that they did on NEW with him and Jim Steinman, and they would always come on and talk about baseball. This guy knew his stuff. And, besides being a musician and, one of the great rock and roll frontmen of all time, he was also a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had some pretty good. He played. I can never remember the name of this movie, but it was the movie with. I think it's Melanie Griffith, and she has her husband's head in a box, and she's going to Hollywood to be on I Love Lucy. And Meatloaf is the sheriff in the small town in, I think it's Alabama or Georgia or something like that, who's pursuing her, who's chasing her down because he suspects and knows that she killed him.
And has the head to prove it.
And she has the head in the box. And it's a great movie. It's one of those movies that's but again, it's such a great movie that I can't always remember. It's not Sweet Home Alabama, but it has a similar title like that. And I think it's Melanie Griffith, but I always get her confused with a couple of other actresses. I'll have to, again, I woke up late this morning, so I didn't have a chance to go online and look at what it is. But not only a good rock and roller, a great actor, and but a nice guy, good guy. Didn't it seemed like the fame. I mean, he had a bigger house and a nice collection of cars and crap like that, but it didn't seem like it made him an asshole. Which, as we know, don't meet your idols, right?
Oh God, never.
I'll give you one more quick Meatloaf story. Hung out with a group of people back in New York, musicians and so on and so forth. A lot of them worked with Laura Nero. A lot of them worked with the Rascals. We were talking about the Rascals the other day. Worked around various, New York studios. Jackson Heights was a hotbed of people who worked in the music industry because it was so close to Midtown. It was a, quick subway ride in. So I had this friend, Jerry Adenizio. I don't even know if he's alive anymore. I haven't heard about him in years.
Love that name. Very musical.
Yeah, Jerry Adenizio. And Jerry, at the time, was one of the few people who could play this dual set of instruments. And I think one of them was a synthesizer, maybe it was a Korg synthesizer and a grand piano, or it was a combination of two instruments that he was proficient at, two keyboard instruments. And so one day, Jerry, who was, did some studio work and stuff like that, but wasn't, and I don't even think he was in a band. I think he just played. One day, Jerry gets a call and he says, and he picks up the phone and he says, hi, Jerry, this is Meatloaf. And we'd like to audition you to come in and play with our band. We need somebody who plays the two instruments you do. You're one of the only people. And Jerry says, yeah, and I'm freaking mashed potatoes, and hangs up the phone. And so Meatloaf calls him back.
Of course. Hey, mashed potatoes.
Because I guess he's used to this, So he says, hey, man, he's calling back, says, hey, listen, no, I'm serious. I want you to come in. I want you to audition for us. We're in the city. We want you to come in. And he says, listen, I told you, mashed potatoes, I don't want to, I'm not in the mood for any of your bullshit. Leave me the F alone. Off the phone.
Second time he hangs up?
The second time he hangs up. That's why we never hear of Jerry Adenizio anymore.
Not much, no. You don't hear his
No.
name come up casually in conversation.
His name will not be in Meatloaf's obituary.
So he did not ever go in?
So he never went for the audition, never went in, and I think worked at a bookstore for the rest of
Did you tell Meatloaf that story?
Yes, I did. And he remembered calling the guy.
Of course.
He says, "Yeah, it's just the damnedest thing. I was trying to get a hold of him, and he kept hanging up on me."
Oh, Jerry.
Oh, it's funny when you hear a story, or you know a story, or you know somebody something happened to, and then you meet the guy on the other end of the story, and get the perspective from that end. And
Meatloaf had some health problems, didn't he? He lost all his meat.
Yeah, I know he had asthma or something like that. I know he'd also been a victim of, not a victim, but had been somebody who had yo-yo dieted all his life. I mean, he was big, he was small, he was big, he was small. I hadn't seen him or talked to him in several years, so I don't know exactly what was going on with them. I now, as always, you kind of wish you had, right? I wish you just.
Sure.
We always have that stack of people sitting on our desk saying, I got to call this guy and see how he's doing, what he's up to, just for the sake of, but then, you sit there, well, he was going to care if I call him,
I know, but he might.
As I've learned in life, those are exactly the people you should call.
Yeah.
When I jumped on Facebook this morning prior to jumping off for the show, I got a great note from somebody who actually listens to us, an old and very dear friend of mine, Robin, who now lives in Miami. And she just sent me a little note saying that when I heard this news this morning, you're the first person I thought of.
Wow.
Because of she was a member of that Rocky Horror class back at the Center Theater. And
she was from the Waverly in the Center?
From the Center. I don't know if she ever did the Waverly, but she was from this group of women and people that came from Bayside in Queens and came to see the show all the time. And we wound up getting very friendly with them because they would come every week and we would see them every week. And we wound up, dating my brother, a few other people, wound up, as groups of people do. You get together and you start dating, and Robin and I had we're together for a while, and she was, it wasn't like, we're not going steady. We had gotten past that whole kind of thing, but a very good woman, and also a woman who was after my heart because her mom owned a shoe store, and she could get me Stan Smiths.
And what's that?
Those Adidas tennis sneakers that were built wide, and I got wide feet. So Robin used to show up all the time with a pair of Stan Smiths for me. And
excellent.
The weight of my heart is through my feet.
There you ain't it the truth?
But she sent me a note this morning, and I'm hoping she's listening because she's just one of those people that when I think of Meatloaf and when I think of Rocky Horror, she's the first person. It was a crazy time, Mike. We had we were the bouncers, but they had these like security guys, and the security guys were from the Jewish Defense League.
Oh dear, they were trained.
Yeah. Oh no, they were like ex-Israeli commandos and stuff like that. I saw this one guy who actually used to play Rocky every once in a while in the thing, and this guy, somebody gave him some crap one night. I think these guys were all on speed or something like that. But this guy and this dude was a hefty dude, big dude that he picked up. This guy grabbed him by the neck and picked him up like this, like you see in the movies when there's usually like a lift or something under somebody and they pick him up. This guy just boom. and we thought he was going to kill the guy. We thought he was going to hurl him across the room. And we wound up, we didn't want to pull him off because we didn't want to get into full combat mode, but we convinced him to let the guy live.
Please let him live. He doesn't deserve to live, so let him live.
Yeah, he's don't let him be the stain that puts you, in trouble. And he put him down and brushed him off and then threw an ashtray at him. This guy picked up one of those big, those lobby ashtrays he used to
Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, God, yes.
This guy picked it up and threw it across the theater lobby like it was a Nerf ball. Crazy.
I love that. Well, Meatloaf managed to sustain that character, which was probably good for him. And also it was a haunting thing. It made it harder for him to move on with his career.
Yeah. And, and I guess the sad thing about Meatloaf too was that, they had him and Jim Steinman had the falling out. And so the second Meatloaf album never materialized as it should have. It came out as Jim Steinman's album. I think we were talking about that not too long ago.
Yeah, I think so.
And finally, Meatloaf, I guess they reconciled years later, and Meatloaf put out some songs from that album on Bat Out of Hell 2, I believe it was. And it was one of those things where, you always wonder Meatloaf obviously had a great career for himself, but what would it have been if they would have hung and kept those, kept that whole thing alive, and kept that whole line of music and what they were doing, because they had a great band. I mean, they had, that whole on that, you go back and you look at the personnel on that Bat Out of Hell album, and it's like an all-star team of musicians. You got half the E Street Band on there and half of Utopia. So, on its own, it was an incredible musical accomplishment. And it wasn't a bad song on the bunch, and it also crossed a lot of different genres. You had, the hard rock of Paradise by the Dashboard Light, and then you also had the soft rock hit of like 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad. Yeah. Which was a great ballad. And the other thing is, listen, Meatloaf made big fat guys sexy again.
Yeah.
It had been a while for us,
Luciano Pavarotti couldn't do it all by himself.
Right. He needed Meatloaf to help him out. So
where did Meatloaf come from? Did he just get cast somehow? Did he work the clubs and work his way up?
He did theater stuff, and he starred in the London, the first run in London of Rocky Horror. And I'm going to see if I can actually, now I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but I'm going to see if I can try to put this up on the screen. And it may be, we may try to.
There you go. Meatloaf's behind your head.
Yeah, I'm going to just slam out of the way here a second.
Oh, he was looking good. Who's that in the middle?
That's the Sultan of Stats, David Vincent.
Hello, David.
Who was a guy who wrote about every home run ever hit in the major leagues.
Wow.
He knew. He could tell you. He's written several books. I mean, he could tell you from everything about every home run, and was was author work for Saber and a bunch of other things. And I think that's Mike Brown's arm all the way over to the right. But yeah, that's
I like the menu on the wall of FX.
yes. Well, listen, we sat in those seats a long time, Mikey. You and I.
Yeah. And at
a lot of shows from those seats
at those faux marble tables too.
Yeah. Well, I thought they were real.
It might have been.
I thought they were real. I don't know what happened.
Think of a world where there is no FX McQuarries. What happened there?
Well, there is no. Yeah, I mean, there is no FX right now. They've. I know that they were talking about bringing it back, but as of my last jaunt down there, it appears to me that that's not it's not happening. Well, that whole neighborhood has changed too, Mikey.
Oh, sure, of course.
That whole
the parking lots became too valuable to be parking lots.
Yeah, so there's a 13 Coins restaurant there, and there's just a lot of different stuff that apartment buildings and so many different entities there, because Vulcan, which is Paul Brown's, listen to me, Paul Allen's real estate arm, got control of all of that area down there, from the railroad station all the way over to Occidental, and it's probably some of the most valuable real estate in the city.
It is now, because it's got a visionary behind it.
Yeah, I don't know, Mikey. I don't know if it's good or bad, or it doesn't seem like these sports teams can get enough money. See, that's the problem you have is they always claim it's about money. They need more money. They need more money. They need more money. But
this year, Major League Baseball says we need money so badly we're not going to play ball. That's how badly we need the money. We won't play ball.
Well, Mikey, they have tried and tried and tried to kill the game as much as they possibly can. They have tried and they have tried. And I start to wonder if, in fact, they're on the path to success. I think they may be on the path to taking baseball and making it a second-rate sport. Because you don't have, when we were growing up, our fathers all told us these loving stories of these players and took us to the ball game. And the first time you open the door at Candlestick or Shea Stadium. And well, that love for the game has been replaced by people who are only in it for the stats, or only in it for the mathematical equations, or only in it for the money, or only in it for
no romance.
Yeah, there's no romance about the game. I mean, if you produce Field of Dreams today, people would laugh at you. It would have to be Field of Transformers, or Field of Captain Marvel, or Captain America, or Captain something. So I don't know. And you have a large number of people who don't seem to be interested in playing baseball as much as they are soccer or basketball or sports that take one ball and a bunch of people. And I mean, try as it might to get the African American community interested in baseball, you don't see a lot of black faces on the fields. You see Hispanic. I mean, it's raging in places like South America, Mexico, and there it's
the Caribbean.
The Caribbean, yeah, it's and even in places like Italy and Australia, the game is growing.
And Tokyo, Japan, huge, couldn't be bigger.
But in the United States, the average kid, it's like third or fourth on their list.
It might be the pace of the game, which can't be changed. You can't change it. You try. Remember the hurry up? We're going to make the pitcher throw. We're going to make the batter bat. Nah, no, you won't. No, you didn't.
Well, yeah, and part of the beauty of the game is that you can go to it with someone, and sit there and talk to them, and get to know them while the game's going on. It's the perfect first date.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. When you think about it, you sit there, you watch, the game goes on, and you can, you can talk and pay attention to the game, or you can kind of just talk to who you're talking to. But at $25 a beer, it gets expensive.
Yes, talk is cheap compared to that.
Yeah, it really does. Louie Anderson, we want to also talk about him a little bit.
He died at the age of, by the way, Meatloaf was 74. Louie Anderson was 68 when he died. And apparently he had cancer for a while, which I did not know.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
And he was a genuinely funny guy, especially when he first came out.
Yeah. Well, again, a guy who didn't fit the mold of the handsome, or a svelte stand-up comic, or he was an odd-looking dude. And I know that I don't think he was ever that big of a success at the television series type, Seinfeld making a transition from stage to series.
He did one series. I can't remember the name of the show where he played the grandmother.
It was Louie, wasn't it?
He played the grandmother.
Yeah, I thought it was Louie. I thought it was Louie was the name of the show, but maybe I'm wrong.
I know about it, but I never saw it.
But yeah, a funny guy. Talked to him once, interviewed him on I think I interviewed him when I was at KDBK. He was coming to town to the Holy City Zoo, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But Louie Anderson, Mikey, was my Abe Vigoda.
And explain what that means. Please.
Remember Abe Vigoda, Fish?
Sure, and he's still alive. He's 107.
Yeah. Well, he was a guy that every time you found out that he was alive, you were shocked. I mean, most people, you find out they're dead and you say, oh, crap, I didn't know he died. But, you would see Abe Vigoda walk out on some talk show or something like that. Say, holy crap, I thought he was dead.
Well,
and the same thing with Louie Anderson. Every time I would see him on something that was recent or that was good, I would go, I thought he was dead. And I remember I had to change my whole way of thinking when Abe Vigoda died. Now I'll have to do the same with Louie Anderson.
But one of the great lines from The Godfather. Hey, Tom, can you get me off for old time's sake?
Yeah.
Can't do it, Sally. Yeah.
No can do.
It was the smart move.
Yeah. Our people are businessmen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Louie Anderson, again, not my kind of comic, but very very successful. I mean, he played Vegas for.
Oh, he lived in Vegas.
He was a staple in Vegas. He was one of those guys that had a residency at every hotel that they knocked down.
Oh yeah.
In fact, it was known as the Louie Anderson Kiss of Death. If
who you got booked this week? Yeah, I got Louie Anderson. Well, your hotel's coming down tomorrow.
Yeah, we booked Louie Anderson up. Everybody start looking for other jobs. Call your godfathers because you're going to all be moving.
Jeff Lynn wants to know, where's Louie playing? He's playing over here. Buy it, tear it down.
Yeah, buy it, tear it down. That's it. That's all. See you later. That's it's true though. I mean, I remember he would play at a place and the next thing you'd see was Louie Anderson pushing the plunger.
The ultimate punchline.
What happened to the Aladdin? Louie.
Yeah, it was Louie. Louie was there.
It was Louie. So, well, at least I won't have to be shocked the next time I see him on a talk show or something that says that he is in fact
Here's something that won't shock you. We're getting ready for the Winter Olympics, but the Beijing Olympics are coming up for the summer, and I mean for the winter, and the Chinese government wanted to keep COVID out because they've got it under control in their own minds because they think that they can make a government edict to make it go away. And now that the athletes and the staff are coming into Beijing, guess what came with them?
oh, I would say COVID.
COVID came with them, sure. And if it hadn't come, Aaron Rodgers would have sent it over in, special delivery.
What these governments leaders, and I hate to call them leaders because they're not really leaders, they're just people who have assumed power.
They just
and
convinced
nobody-
they just convinced they've got control. What gives them this idea?
Yeah, they think that, it's like Trump. Trump thought that he could, control a disease. This is
Out talking.
disease. It controls you. You don't control it. You can do things to make it less. You can do things but you have to do the things. You can't just by the wave of your hand say it doesn't exist or it's going to go away.
No.
It's asinine to think that. And if you think that, you're not really a leader.
In fact, the same thing happened to Adele in Vegas this week. She had a big show ready to go. Tickets were sold. The lights were up. The big signs in Vegas had been purchased. No, they're not putting on a show. They thought they were. They all came to town, got the COVID, and bingo. No show.
Well, Mike, part of this whole thing is that we want this to go away so bad that we're thinking that if we just go on with our lives as normal, that it will go away. And it's not like that. It's not going to work like that. If you want it to go away, if you want it to be eradicated, there are certain steps that you're going to have to make.
In fact, if you could talk to COVID, you'd say, what makes you so special? What makes you so strong? And the virus would say, nothing. I don't have to do anything. It's just people are so stupid. I'm doing well. I'm doing very well.
Yeah, you feed me every night. I don't have to look for food. I don't have to look for a place to live. I don't have to look for a way to get from you to your kid to your grandmother because you'll provide it for me.
And look at me. I'm about ready to mutate. See, I'm what's my name now? Omicron. Wait till you get to call me Delta 5 Sinister 4. That's one you're going to love. There's no treatment for that one.
Yeah. So why in the world would this virus feel as if it can't go to Beijing or to Cape Town or to some little island in the Pacific or some big island in the North Atlantic?
Not only that,
it's going to get everywhere.
If you could bet the virus, if you could talk to it and wager it before you put your money down, it would be where you say it couldn't go. It would already be there. It would be, in fact, it probably was there before you got your money out of your pocket.
Well, again, I just don't understand the reasoning and the thinking behind. It's not going to get me. It's not going to, it's fake. It's not. It's just a cold. It's just a flu. It's just this. Tell those 800,000+ people that are dead that it's just a cold.
Yeah, there's a folk singer in Hungary or someplace that wanted to catch it because she determined that she was going to meet it on its own terms and beat it. Wouldn't get vaccinated. Her family was vaccinated, but she wouldn't do it. She said it wasn't a political thing at all. She wasn't making a stance. So get vaccinated. No,
How's that
I won't.
working out for her?
She's dead.
Yeah, as are many who think that they're going to beat it, because you're not gonna. You're very rarely going to beat it, and even if you beat it, the experience is showing so far that you're not the same after you beat it. That it rips up something in your insides, whether it's the lighter version or
the old long hauler.
The old long, yeah. I mean, there's you talk to people that have had it, and they still say to this day that man, it's tough for me to get up in the morning. It's I run out of breath when I'm crossing the street. Just all the different things that this virus will visit upon you.
Apparently, neither Meatloaf nor Louie Anderson had the COVID.
Well, knowing Meatloaf, he probably got vaccinated. I don't know about Louie Anderson. I sure hope he wasn't, that Meatloaf wasn't an anti-vaxxer. I'd have to take back all the stuff, good stuff I said about him. But I don't think he was. He was a very sensible guy, and I thought a very healthy guy for a lot of times people see big guys, they go, oh, that guy's not healthy. Oh man, he's a mess. Well, I gotta be honest with you. Sometimes that's true, and sometimes it's not. Just
Sometimes
like
it's not.
with everybody else. We have football games tomorrow and Sunday, do we not?
We do. Run them by me. Do you have your list there?
I have it right up in front of me. You lead off tomorrow on CBS at 1:20 PST with the Bengals visiting the Titans.
All Bengals.
Yeah, I like the Bengals too, even on the road, even against the top-seeded Titans at 12-5. I just could be their year this year, the Bengals.
Yeah. First of all, what the hell's a Titan? They don't have them in Tennessee. They never had them. They don't have them. You can't get a Titan anywhere in Nashville.
Well, I mean, you used to be able to get them in New York, but I have no sympathy for a team that stole another team's name.
But even in New York, they said, "Look, a Titan. We're the big city. We're the Big Apple, but we'd be better off calling ourselves the Apples. We're not Titans. So let's change the name."
Yeah, go play next to the airport. You can call yourself the Jets.
Done.
And win a Super Bowl in 1969, and then you don't have to bother for the rest of the time you're in existence.
Don't even have to concentrate. It's done.
And just you'll have a year around 1978, 79, where a lawnmower comes out of the sky and kills somebody. Other than that, don't worry about it.
No, it happened. That was bound to happen anyway.
Yeah, somebody was going to get hit with that lawnmower. It just happened to be in New York.
Yeah.
Then you have, of course, at 5:15 tomorrow afternoon, the showcase, I think, of the weekend with the 49ers and the Packers.
Well, I'm a 49er fan, and I want to bet on the 49ers, and I want to back the 49ers as I do. But as much as I hate to say it, it's very, very hard to beat the Packers at Lambeau in the winter.
Yeah. I don't know. I have not seen a weather forecast.
Well, it ain't going to be warm no matter what.
Well, but you know what, Mikey? I remember going with the Seahawks to play the Packers in Green Bay, and it was, it wasn't, warm like hot, but it was, 28, 29 degrees, which for Green Bay is a heat wave that time of year.
If we have our running game together and we don't stop running so Jimmy can roll to the right and throw it to their defensive backs, we can win.
Yeah, it seems that you know what, it's hard. I hate to do it. I hate to go with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers and everything like that, but it is tough to beat them at home, man. They're 13-14. It really is hard to trounce them at home. So I got to go with the Packers on that one. On Sunday,
and Jimmy may end up. It looks like Jimmy may end up in Pittsburgh anyway. It's one of the teams that wants him.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of. All of a sudden, everybody wants everybody. Pittsburgh wants everybody because I don't think Mason Rudolph is the answer.
No,
for the the Steelers want to win next season. They're not one of those teams that say, "Well, we'll rebuild. Well, we'll do this." If Ben is gone, then we'll just find somebody who can replace Ben, just like they did when Ben came in. He replaced somebody and, picked it up right away.
Yeah.
That's the philosophy with the Rooneys. That's why they're so successful. That and a lot of property that they bought around the stadium. And so, yeah, they're going to go after somebody. I think there was a real interest in Russell Wilson.
It's probably still there.
But I don't think Russell Wilson's gone anywhere, as I've said before.
It would be a bad move on his part, even if he had landed with Pittsburgh.
It's a bad move on everybody's part. Russell Wilson needs to finish his career out. Unless something drastic happens, he needs to finish his career out with the Seahawks.
Otherwise, it's a 5-year drought. Are you ready for that, Seattle? You ready for 5 years and nothing?
No, because now that the expectations in this town have changed. This is no longer, if we win 9 games, it'll be okay.
And not only that, you fire Pete Carroll, you hire Petey from down the street, but you don't have a quarterback. So in 2 years, you fire him. You have another head coach. You don't like him because you still don't have a quarterback. You fire him. So you've gone through 2 head coaches and 2 quarterbacks when you could have kept your head coach and your quarterback for the same 5 years.
There's a lot to be said for stability, Mikey. A lot
Yeah.
to be said for it at the top. I think the Steelers have proven that. And although Mike Tomlin hasn't, it's been a drought for winning playoff games. It's something that I think that listen, you go into every year as a Steeler fan expecting to go to the Super Bowl.
That's true.
How many cities can say that? Even the Packers every year don't expect to go to the Super Bowl. They expect to be good. They expect to be competitive. In Pittsburgh, that's the bar.
And even at the beginning of this year, they thought Aaron Rodgers wasn't interested in staying there and wasn't interested in playing hard and wasn't interested in winning. So they were ready for a terrible year.
Well, it was hard for them. They found out he was afraid of needles.
Yeah.
NBC, Sunday, the Peacock Network, and Universo, which I guess is the Spanish NBC. The Rams take on Tom Brady and his Buccaneers in Buccaneerland down there in sweaty Florida.
That's going to be the advantage that they need. It's a warm city. The Rams are used to playing in the heat, and I give it to them by a touchdown.
I got a funny feeling about this one, man. I'm going to go with the Rams. There's just something about the way they're clicking right now. And it's always hard to bet against Tom Brady. It's easy to hate him.
Yeah.
But it's hard to bet against him. But yet I'll go with the Rams here. I think this may wind up being the upset of the weekend. The Bengals would be an upset, but I think the Rams beating the Buccaneers. These are two, believe it or not, fairly evenly matched teams.
Oh yes, and I think the Rams have
advantage for
I think
anybody.
the Rams I think have a better running game and more people to pass to.
Yeah. So, and then we top off the weekend with the Bills and the Chiefs.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I love the Bills, New York State's only football team, professional football team. So I will take the Bills over the Chiefs, even though my head tells me that the Chiefs will win this, that Mahomes will figure out a way that he'll, as he did, he'll find Kelsey and, as many times as he needs to. But yet there's something about the Bills that says
there's something about them. Yeah, I want to take the long shot and go for the Bills, which is it's a dangerous bet.
Yeah. About the Bills, and so I'll ride that pony either until about 5:30 Sunday afternoon or 6 o'clock Sunday afternoon, or for another week.
And I love Patrick Mahomes, but they've been more vulnerable this year than in past years, and I think that it's possible for the Bills to overpower them.
Yeah, and listen, any of these teams, when you get to this point, it's a penalty, it's an errant throw, it's something to beat you that's could be the smallest of things. When you get to this level, it's a lot of times comes down to the team that makes the least mistakes, right?
Yeah, and especially in turnovers.
And the only thing is it's almost impossible to bet against Tom Brady because he's shown time and time again that he could be down by 40 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and he'll find a way.
In the last few ticks of the clock, he'll probably be it's almost like he plays with teams. Like, all right, yeah, we'll spot you 40 and I'll show you how good I really am. So we'll see. I like to see a smiling face, not anywhere near a football field after Sunday. So,
how about your show tomorrow, Ben? What's the headline?
The headline is small pickups tomorrow. The upcoming wave trend of I'm driving a Ford Maverick this week, and that is just a fun, cool little truck. I don't, I haven't driven enough to know if I like it more than the Santa Cruz yet, the Hyundai. Two different kind of approaches to a smaller pickup truck. The Hyundai is more the car type approach, where it's an SUV that looks like they took the back off and made it a pickup truck. The Ford Maverick is an out and out true pickup truck. And it looks like one, it smells like one, it acts like one, except that it's $60,000 cheaper.
Wow.
Than the big Vigoda, F-150 all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, monster diesel truck that you see many people driving down the street for no apparent reason except testosterone.
They're gonna go to Dick's.
Yeah, and you want to show up in the biggest trucks. This is a sweet little ride that is, is smaller and more manageable. It's a city pickup truck. You can park in the parking garage, park in the space, and we'll talk a lot about that upcoming trend, which is now, I think, going to really open up a space in the truck area for people who looked at trucks previously. Get out of there, Daisy. Daisy. No, she's sticking her head in a plastic bag. I don't want to have to give a mount-to-mount resuscitation. Crazy
dogs are crazy. Who said cats were crazy?
I think, oh, Daisy. I know, we're gonna go out for a walk in a few minutes. Such a cute little ball of fur. So we'll be talking about that. We have the cartoon is back. Nathan, the producer with Yo Vinnie, what are you driving this week? And we'll of course review the Volkswagen. Actually, we're going to review the not the Volkswagen, but the Toyota RAV4 Prime, which may just be the fastest production Toyota today. The RAV4 Prime.
Wow.
It is. It's a hybrid, plug-in hybrid. It's pretty damn quick. As
maybe that's what you should drive on Route 66.
Well, I'm trying to get the Chevrolet to get him to give me a Corvette, but we'll see. We're we're in negotiations.
We're in talks.
But I talked to a bunch of people yesterday. We had a nice meeting yesterday with the Drive Toward a Cure people, which raises money for Parkinson's disease research and assistance.
Where does the money go?
And it goes to predominantly to Parkinson's research, and a ton of the money. I think 95% of. I don't have to figure, but one person runs the whole thing, and so a lot of money goes toward the research. Because these days you got to check out how much is getting to the research. A ton of money goes to the research. And anyway, it looks like I will be doing this ride on Route 66 to raise money for them. So you'll be able to pledge $66 or 66 cents or however much per mile, and follow along on the journey. And it'll make me feel like I'm doing something for, as you know, Mikey, I have a couple of friends that have Parkinson's.
How are they doing?
Well, my one friend is doing okay. My friend I picked up in Utah. I got to get down there and visit him and check on him. I haven't been down there since the first of the year. And the other guy is a mutual friend of ours, Dave Grosby.
How's he doing? I hear he's getting ready for a knee operation.
Yeah, he's getting ready for a knee operation. He's retired from active sports, sportscasting, talk show stuff. So, and again, I have family members that have had this disease and have passed away from it. So anything I can do to help this cause and find a disease, a cure for this disease, or to make people that have it live more comfortably with it, I will go out of my way to do. because that's what you do when you have the ability and the time to make a difference, I would think.
Good job, Vinnie.
A note to everybody out there: when you have the time and the ability to make a difference, even if it's simple as rolling up your sleeve and getting a vaccine, you do it, right?
Or you can complicate life for everybody and refuse.
It's your choice, unfortunately. In some societies, you wouldn't have this choice. In some
I
societies,
rest my case.
knock on the door and stick the needle in your arm.
Have a good weekend, Vin. Go
Mikey,
49ers.
you too, man. What are you? Anything? You just gonna go play Commodore this weekend, or
I played Commodore yesterday. I'm exhausted.
get some sleep, Mikey?
I will.
And remember, as my good friend once said, don't let your meat loaf.
Don't let it loaf, I'm telling you.
All right, Pally. See you Monday if the Lord's willing. The creek don't rise. 10 o'clock tomorrow. 10 o'clock was me. 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, right here on Facebook Live for Drive Time Radio. And as we always say, peace, love, Manischewitz.
That's the official wine of Route 66. See you,
Oh,
man.
yes, it is.